In today's episode, Chris presents oils to superheroes. And yes, it's as crazy as it sounds. Stacy finds a crazy new matchmaking app, but you won't believe who for. We find out what was behind a crazy emergency call when a neighbour thought someone was being killed. We also look at the latest crazy news with One Nation. Need we say more? So hopefully you found your match with us, your Two Crazy Guys, One Crazy World podcast.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Two Crazy Guys in One Crazy World podcast, where your hosts will entertain you with stories and news from around the living room and possibly other places too. So without further ado, your hosts, Stacy and Chris. Bring it on, guys.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Two Crazy Guys, One Crazy World. My name is Chris, and on the other side of the camera here we have my offsider, Stacy. This is episode number 4 of our series, and hopefully it is the first 4 of many that we will have done at the completion of today. I say that we know that you're really waiting for us to put these out there. We know that the breath has been baited and you're sitting there wondering where we are. Well, guess what? We're coming, and we're coming to a set of headphones, set of earbuds, or a stereo speaker near you very soon. How are you, Stace?
Yeah, good, mate, good. Yeah, I've been working on the woodworking this morning, so in a good mood.
Oh, good. Well, I've been doing something really exciting too. I've been working on the budget, so your mood's probably better than mine. Over to you. How'd the woodworking go today?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, doing a couple of final pours. I'm doing a couple of epoxy tables and using resin, and so I've got a hall table and a nice, beautiful slab of red gum that turning into a little coffee table and one's into a hall table.
So being red gum, does your coffee table sing "I was only 19"?
Well, now that would make an impressive. Wouldn't it?
Brilliant idea! Stick a recording in the table, so when people sit down, it plays it.
Mate, you're up there with ideas. You'd patent that idea.
Mate, can you imagine it? You've got an iTunes built-in table or inbuilt iTunes table.
Look at that, mate. What else could you want?
My genius has superseded my expectations once more.
Yes, it does.
Seriously, ladies and gents, if you do want to have a look at some really amazing woodwork, you should go onto Stacy's website. I can't remember the name of it. What's it called?
It's coming. It's somersetlaurel.com.au.
So honestly, have a look there. He's got some really great stuff that I'm sure that he'll sell you cheap because you're a podcast listener. So the rest of us, it'll be expensive.
Yeah, that's right.
But really good stuff. All right. So, mate, I've got a little story to tell you.
Oh, I love stories, especially when they're coming from you.
Well, it's real. And I've even got screenshots to show you. Right. So
now that's a story.
I've got to stop looking at you on the screen and start looking at the camera. I will get used to that one day. Right. So yesterday, my beautiful princess who's in Scotland, she's into doTERRA oils. Our whole family's into doTERRA essential oils. And she's building her business and it's going really, really well. Well, I've always offered to help and to hold a class for her. So she advertised for me to have a class, and no one came because it was me and not her. And, she knows what she's talking about, and really I don't. But I decided I'd practice. So that when I
preceded you.
Absolutely. When I do get people coming to a class, I'd be ready. So I did one last week, just me in front of the computer, and it was okay. But then I decided to take it to the next level, and I decided to get some participants.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now, where do you get it?
Get the live reaction from people and stuff.
Absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen now while I continue to tell you the story. I'll share my screen, and I will show you my participants all sitting around having a wonderful time. Okay, I've got to bring it up. Share. You probably got my screen. There it is.
No.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. So, rather than talking to an empty room, what I did is I went down to Big W and I hired some actors. Over here in the yellow, we've got Cruz. You can tell it's Cruz because you can't see on the balloon, but Cruz's face is on the balloon, as in from Cars. Next to Cruz, we've got Spider-Man.
For those that aren't watching the video, you have to describe the setting.
Well, okay, you've got me with the glass. I'm standing there talking to people. Now, the people happen to be helium filled balloons, right? And we've got Lightning McQueen. I mean, really, what a champion. We've got Batman. He's dressed in blue because the original Batman used to be more blue than grey or black. Spider-Man, who, of course, is in red. And Cruz, who's in yellow, which is the colour of her in the movie, Carbs. Now, these guys gave up their hard-working time to do it. But the catch is, you know why I've got the two guys from Cars there?
No, why?
Because the Batman and Spider-Man, they were knackered. They had been out all day fighting crime, and they were knackered. And they said, look, we'll only come along if you can get us a lift. All right, I can send some special people to pick you up. And it worked. And so here I was. I'll just play you just a tiny little snippet because it goes for 40 minutes, my class. Right? So here's a little snippet. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but we'll try.
Okay.
No, you can't hear it. Right? Well, I'll go through. I'll go through. I'll stop the share now. Everyone's got the picture there. You've got 2 red balloons, a blue balloon, a yellow balloon, 4 black chairs and me and a big glass table standing there, all on film looking like movie stuff. So here I am. I'm going through it. Right, now, you've got to explain that these guys, they weren't giving me the reaction that I wanted. I mean, seriously, do they know how much effort goes into getting superheroes to a doTERRA oils class?
How rude is that?
It took a lot of work. It took me an hour just to set up.
And they call themselves.
And they sat there just wobbling their little heads in the breeze. I mean, I was showing Batman the ice blue, the doTERRA ice blue cream, which is like Denka rub on steroids, mate. This stuff works. I mean, if Denka rub was a match on your hand, this thing's a friggin' flamethrower.
Oh, wow.
It just is so much more powerful, and it works. I'm showing Batman because who doesn't need Denka rub for his bruises more than Batman?
Well, this is
ice blue, not Denka rub. And do you know what Batman did?
What?
There was a little head wobble. It's a dead set. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to hire superheroes, they're great guys to have around for a chat, but you've got to get the animated version.
Well, mate, I've got to give you full marks for effort because, look, the reality is most people would look at that situation and go, yeah, can't be bothered. I'm not going to do that. But not you. Not you. You take the challenge by the horn.
Yeah. How can you have an oils class without people? Right?
Well, clearly it's very difficult. But
no, it's not because I did it.
You did it.
Yeah, that was a couple of hours of my day yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say, having watched that video back twice now, for someone who doesn't know what he's talking about with doTERRA oils, well, doesn't know as well as, say, my beautiful princess does, boy, I did a good job. But none of them bought.
So
none of them signed up.
You're surprised because you're good at talking shit? Is that right?
Well, yeah, okay.
You're really surprised?
No, not totally surprised, but I mean, well, it's all right. I can give you that one.
You should have just asked me, dude. I would have told you, all right?
Okay, thanks, mate. Thank you. So, all right, tell me something exciting that you got up to. Now that I've just introduced you by a film to Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah, look, I really, I don't know if I could top that because that is utter brilliant. And I use the word utter on purpose because I have got a story for you. Now I'm going to share my screen because this is worth seeing.
Okay, this will be good. Is Stacy sharing your screen? Stacy?
So
I got a bald guy.
You got a bald guy. Oh. Now, look here. Tinder for cows. Somebody has actually made Tinder for cows.
Oh, my God.
Guess what they called it? Guess what they called it?
What?
Tudder. We've done it. We've managed to kill Chris.
I should stop laughing that much. Really, Tudder?
Tudder. So it's
a mix of dating, Tinder, and udder. If its farm is right on cattle, all right. So, having just read that one line, does this mean that Farmer Joe sits at home and says, "Betsy in the front paddock's looking a bit horny. Think I'll find her a date."
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly how it goes, Mr. Deal. Just like
Tell me. What do they do? Swipe left, swipe right?
Look at this, launching just in time for Valentine's Day to make us believe Tata is the first ever matchmaking app for livestock.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is
How-
great.
How do they know it worked? Do they get reviews back from the cow?
That's a
You
good
just
question.
say, can't you? He was too rough.
Well, this guy, he's a cattle farmer and Tata user James Bridger, said it eases transport stress for animals and may rival traditional markets. All right?
Oh my God.
So you've got all this data of its background and everything which you're at a market. You might not have time to go through every single random animal. So the app is to help narrow down those that the livestock you want to try and match up.
Wow. Oh, well, on that basis, it could work. I mean, if they're having a look rather than ringing up, but really?
Well, the Sell My Livestock is listed over £50 million worth of livestock, right? Feed and bedding to sell in last year. So we're not talking about an insignificant size market.
No, we're not. But selling livestock is probably a little bit different to getting your local cow laid. I mean, just saying.
But it's big business. Big business, mate.
Can you imagine if that was humans? He didn't ask permission first. All the bulls would be arrested.
Yeah, just sign here with your hoof.
One hoof or two. Oh, that's an utter disgrace.
Oh no, here they go. The dad jokes, you gotta love them. So look,
we're dads. We're allowed to have dad jokes.
Look, there's a good example of technology actually delivering on a real world problem. Something we wouldn't have ever thought of, right?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't know that matching cows to bulls was actually a real world problem.
Well, apparently it is. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. So,
oh, wow. All right. You got any more on that one?
Yeah, well, not on that one, but here's another great story.
Cool.
And I'll just preface this with, we as humans, we do tend to jump to conclusions a little too quickly.
No, really?
Yes. So, actually, I'm just going to
jump to a conclusion.
And I want to ask you something. If you're walking past a house, right?
Yeah.
And then you heard a man repeatedly yelling,
I'm not praying.
"Why don't you?" You what?
I'm not praying. I'm just like.
Okay, I was watching. So if you walk past a house and you heard a man repeatedly yelling, "Why don't you die?" and a toddler screaming, what would your first reaction be?
I would probably think that someone's trying to hurt someone.
Yes, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, as it turns out, this happened. A neighbour was walking past the west coast city of Perth, and they heard the man screaming repeatedly, "Why don't you die?" and the toddler screaming. So, with multiple police units responding with lights and sirens, they turned up, and apparently there was they followed up 15 minutes later and said, police spoke with all parties who advised husband had only been trying to kill a spider.
Oh, no.
There's a serious fear of spiders. And clearly getting frustrated with the spider, yelling this out. And no doubt, obviously, the toddler's getting a little bit anxious as well with why they were crying.
What daddy's been black, John.
Apparently probably not the best thing for the police to have to turn up, waste their resources on. But look, at the time, what's a neighbour going to think hearing that commotion? And I suppose better to be safe than sorry, right? At least it's turned out to be just a spider, a fear of spiders rather than anything else.
Oh my God. All right, we've got another news story, not quite as funny, but valid news story. Did you read about One Nation today, or have you heard about it?
Yes.
They are dead in the water.
How could you not?
Well, they should be dead in the water. And when I say dead, I'm not referring to their stand on guns, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just referring to...
I thought that happened when... I thought they were dead when Mark Latham joined them myself, but anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, pretty much I think they've been dead ever since Hanson started talking again. But the fact they've now got her on tape and on film talking about a Port Arthur conspiracy by the government.
I know.
I mean, seriously? I was never a fan of Pauline Hanson.
No.
But I gave her the benefit of the doubt because anyone in this country can get elected if they play the cards right.
Look,
And
we sometimes have a free society.
Yeah, sometimes you get people up there.
Want to get up on the aisles over something, then, that's the price of freedom. We've got to allow people that platform and that ability to do so.
Occasionally you can get people into Parliament who actually know what they're talking about. Apparently we've failed to do that for years, but sometimes you actually do. But that's it. These gun scandal, trying to get money out of the NRA and trying to paint a conspiracy at Port Arthur and to tell these gun lobbyists that they will wind back the gun laws in Australia. Sorry, Pauline, no offence to you personally or whatever, but I hope that one nation becomes a thing of the past at the next election because Ed said, you're fucked in the head. Just saying.
Look, I think it's endemic of a wider problem with the political system in that basically they will do whatever they think they need to get elected, right?
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Did you see the article about Malcolm Turnbull and the price he paid to topple Abbott and become Prime Minister?
Who did he pay?
Well, it was actually a deal was struck with their coalition,
the Nationals.
The Nationals. Trying to remember who was the leader of the Nationals then before Barnaby Joyce.
Not Tim Fisher. No.
Actually, I think I had it, but anyway. So basically, the thing was because they're obviously very ultra conservative.
Yeah.
He basically had to get their okay, right, to be able to become Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And the Nationals were well, hang on, our deal was with Abbott, not with you, and pretty much bribed Turnbull to say that these are our key issues that we've got to stick to, otherwise we're not playing ball.
Yeah, but that can be blown both ways, though, buddy, because that's politics. They all trade like that, and so they could do it.
Absolutely, which is my point, right? Which is my point. Rather than actually becoming Prime Minister on the topics and the things that he wanted and he felt passionate about, he completely sold himself out in order to become Prime Minister.
Yeah, but here's the catch. How many of us get to vote who the Prime Minister is?
Oh, we don't. None of us do.
But all of us think we do.
No.
That's the real catch. I mean, we all know now as you get older that you're not actually voting for him, for the Prime Minister. But who is the person out there? It's Bill Shorten. It's ScoMo now. They're the two people in the front. How many of you know your local member, really, really know who your local member is?
Yeah, hardly anyone.
Right? Because people are going, oh, yeah, I like ScoMo, I like Shorten, I like ScoMo, I like Shorten, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. Oh, hang on, Donald Duck. Donald got elected. Fantastic.
Well, my question is, what do you do when you don't like any of them?
Well, that's where Donald Duck comes into play. But the problem with doing that is that if you do that, you can't complain later.
Do a document.
Put in a bodgy vote, you've given away your right. But anyway, my point there is that...
Well, yes and no. I think my actual thought on that is if you don't vote, then you don't have the thing. But if you actually make the decision to go and vote, but put in a vote purely because there is no one worth voting for, well, you've effectively,
but you
had your say.
Who would? I mean, I'm not asking who your preference is now because we won't go down politics.
I don't have them. I really don't.
Yeah, that's it with me. I've always been one party. Well, always followed one party. Now I'm like, who the hell are they? They're absolute tossers. Yep. And I'm talking both party are full of tossers now. None of them are there for anything more than to secure their own jobs.
Absolutely. And this is the problem. Right?
There you go. That can be our beef of the day.
Beef of the day, politics. Political
hang on. We've got 25 million likes on Parliament's full of crap. And the only ones who didn't like it are those who didn't have a PC.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, sir, we're going to have to, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to make a part 1 and a part 2 of this tape today. So that's the part 1. But I have a previous appointment that I can't get out of. And Mr. Basel has to go back down and stick fingers back in some resin. That's what he calls it.
Yeah, good idea.
So we're going to make a part 2 to this one. Depending, how long did this one go for, actually? How long we got?
I actually don't know. I'll tell you that after it's stopped.
Yeah, because if it's of a sufficient length, maybe we won't make a part 2. You're going to have to wait and see.
Probably
anyway,
about 10, 15 minutes, I'd say.
All right, well, it's probably only going to be about 20 minutes long anyway. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have a lovely afternoon, evening or morning, wherever you happen to be listening from. And don't forget, as always, stick on those headphones, pop in those earpods, whatever they're actually called now. Because Samsung are going
ears.
Right? And turn up that stereo, turn up that radio, and listen to the Two Crazy Guys, One Crazy World podcast on your way to work, on your way home, or at night time in the morning, wherever you happen to be.
And send us your questions.
Absolutely. We want some questions. Give us something to talk about. Has anyone else out there done a doTERRA class for superheroes? There's my question to you. If you have, I want to know about it.
Because you need more topics to talk about. You struggle to
do,
don't you, Chris? Yes.
Mate, that's it. I honestly haven't talked the legs off the table in days.
Oh, that long? Wow.
At least. All right. See you later.
All right, dude. Take it easy. Chat
Have
soon.
fun. I'll speak to you in a little while. I'll give you a call afterwards.
Bye,
Bye all. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you happen to be. Welcome back to part 2 of yeah, no, but I'm saying welcome back to part 2 of podcast number 4. It's still number 4, not number 5, but you'll notice I've taken the jumper off. And if you're wondering, no, I'm not going to go any further. It's only my jumper. All you ladies out there, settle down. Stop going to get the popcorn and the drinks and sitting back and waiting for the show. And
trust me, dude, they're not.
Hey, I can dream on. Hey, I have been off playing tennis with one of my sons, and I can tell you that even at age 58 and totally inflexible, like I know I can touch my toes if I put them up on the chair in front of me, that I actually did manage to hit a couple of balls back in, Stacy.
Good work. Well done. I'm impressed.
I think Matt was more stunned than I was. But I can also tell you this. Shit, I can't run.
No, you say that, but you go for 5K runs all the time.
No, not anymore. I haven't run for about 6 months.
Oh, have you? Oh,
yeah, my knees are gone.
Oh.
Yeah, they call it cab left. So, they don't like running anymore. And my Achilles.
Treatment.
Yeah, and my Achilles don't like it either. Mind you, I have been considering taking up running again, but I think that I will probably struggle a little bit for a while.
No, it's actually not good for older folk.
Yeah, that's very true. I fell into that. You lousy.
You're a bit slow on that one. I thought you were going to jump all over there.
Well, we've got, at my age, we're normally quick at everything else. So we actually
you just sort of prove
okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're approaching the end of episode 4. But before we go, we wanted to bring you something we promised you last time. Our little segment called Talking Crypto FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Not that other one that I normally say, but I won't say fucked up dudes this week. Good, thank God for that, right? So I will hand over to my illustrious offsider because he is the person who can actually now show you one of the many ways that you can sign up and start buying your very own cryptocurrency, which is something we recommend you do. But as always, this is not financial advice. This is just fun. So if you can't afford to lose it, don't use it. Cheers. Here's Stacy.
And that's a very sensible statement made by you, Mr. Deal.
It does happen occasionally.
Yes, look, I mean, the reality is it's still a speculative asset, whichever way you want to look at it. While Chris and I certainly firmly believe in the future of cryptocurrencies.
We do.
And I certainly am all in terms of my belief of it and where I believe it's going to go. There is still a significant amount of risk attached to it and a lot of volatility. So if you don't have the stomach, shall we say, for a lot of volatility in your investments.
Or if you have a weak stomach where you are not going to be able to sleep at night because you put that $1,000 into Bitcoin, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, don't do it.
Right, now, Mr. Boatswain, before you commit to this, I just have to remind you, sir, that we do not have long, so you need to move through this one. And don't get too technical. Our audience out there don't want the techniques, they want the band.
Good idea. Well, it's your job to haul me in if I do, all right?
I need a big rope.
Yes, for sure. All right, so let's quick. There's so for Australian audiences, I mean, and there's a number of ways that people can get into the crypto world, and I will show you two of them. One in particular, which is well known around the.
It's called 2:39. Good afternoon, Stacy.
Yeah, well, this is true.
And by the way, it's 3:39 in the rest of the planet.
Yeah, that's right. We'll stick with this one. All right. So, from an Australian perspective, we'll start with the Australian perspective. There is one called Independent Reserve, which is Melbourne-based. So it's they're definitely a local company, and have been around for quite a number of years. And from the research that I've done, I feel quite comfortable in using these guys. And look, it's a relatively simple process.
When Stacy says there's one around, it's actually Independent Reserve, the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency exchange is what the one around is actually he meant by. It's a currency exchange, very similar to how you buy shares, only this one just deals in cryptocurrency. Back over to you, Mr. Bose. We'll just sort of throw that in.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Feel free to do that whenever you need to.
Oh, have you ever tried to shut me up before?
Yeah, no, definitely not. All right, so now Independent Reserve at the moment it provides a on-ramp, shall we say, from your normal Australian dollars into the crypto world. There are limited number of cryptocurrencies you can invest into directly with Independent Reserve, and they're listed here on their homepage, which currently consists of Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Playchip, OMISGO, and ZRX. So there's gives you some choices to start. Now, just because that's the only ones you can buy into directly, that doesn't mean to say that's all you've got to stay with. You can then transfer your cryptocurrencies elsewhere, but that's for another time. We're talking about.
We'll show you how to do that in another episode. We'll actually show you how to go for somewhere like Independent Reserve to say Bittrex, which has thousands of cryptocurrencies.
Correct. So I've logged into my account. So just check with me, Chris. You can see my new window that I've brought up there.
I can indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know the details of Stacy's Bitcoin wallet,
this one's not very exciting.
Unlucky.
Yes, and there's a very good reason. I'll go to my account here and I'll show you how much money is currently sitting in my Independent Reserve account. So as you can see there, and in fact I can click here on account value and it gives me a total, which down the bottom tells me I have 1 cent.
Hey, big spender.
Yeah, there's a very good reason for this. Very good reason for this. And anyone I talk to regularly, and I will tell them, do not keep your cryptocurrencies on an exchange.
We'll get to that later to show people how to do it.
It's the first rule, right? So, you know, it's the way to get into it, but you don't leave your money there. But as Chris said, we will get into that. However, what will happen is that if you want to start to invest in cryptocurrencies, first thing you got to do is get your Australian dollars into an exchange. Okay. Now, the best way to do that is then to deposit money into your account. You can see here I've got currency AUD at the top. There is a deposit option there, right? And there's currently 2 ways with Independent Reserve that you can do it. You can do a straight EFT transfer from your bank account. They give you the account details, right, and a special reference that you can use. Okay, and anyone, by all means, feel free to use that reference right there and send as much money as you like to that reference. I'll be more than happy to accept that.
It's a one-way transfer, folks. You can't get without using that reference. Don't try.
But they also do the poly deposits as well, which gives you a direct, an instantaneous deposit into your account, but it's only limited to $1,000 per 24 hours. But if you want to get some money in quick, plus there is a $3.30 processing fee for that. Okay, but your electronic funds, you can transfer a lot more money into that account. All right. So that's the first thing you do. You go to your bank, your normal bank account, you transfer some money, and then lo and behold, it will show up here in your Australian or AUD currency account. Once you have money there, then you can go to the trade section. So we go to trade. Okay, now the trade, usually the first time you log on, it'll start with the Bitcoin market. And over on the left-hand side here, you'll see there's a BTC symbol and a little drop-down arrow. Now, if I hit that drop-down arrow, it gives me the different markets that I can purchase for. Right, so if it's Bitcoin I want, then no problems. I've got that selected. Now, how are we going to buy it? Well, again, there are options. There are a number of ways that we can purchase Bitcoin. The first option, which just says is buy market. And that simply means that you're just going to pay the current market price that somebody's willing to put out there to purchase your Bitcoin. You can put in a volume, so how much Bitcoin you want. So let's just say 1, but you don't have to be 1. Let's do 0.05 Bitcoin, all right, which is currently sitting at about $282 worth. Okay, or you can hit the max button and it'll just simply say, it'll look at your account and say, all right, you've got say $500 of Australian dollars there, then I'll buy as much as I can for $500. Okay, so you can do that. You can preview your buy order. Okay, but actually I can't do it at the moment because I don't have enough Australian dollars. But you preview your buy order, it'll come up, it'll confirm these details here. So you can see it has the estimated value, the estimated brokerage, and the GST on the brokerage. Now, generally the fees are roughly around 0.5%, which is quite low. It's the other reason I like to use independent reserve. Of most of the on-ramps, they're one of the cheapest and reliable ones around. And their liquidity is not too bad as well for Australian exchanges. So once you preview your order, if you're happy with that, you tell it to place the order, and it'll simply go off, and it'll make that order for you. Now, that's the quickest and easiest way. Now, the thing with that is that you will basically just pay whatever sellers are asking for. So you see, we've got 2 columns here. We've got buyers, right, in the light purpley, mobily, I don't know, I'm hopeless with colours. I don't know, what colour is that? More purpley sort of colour on the left. And this pretty, what is that? Apricot, a peach, I don't know. Yeah. Some silly bloody colour on the right. They're the sellers, okay? So sellers are currently selling roughly now at $5,647.49 for a Bitcoin, okay? So that's the price you would pay if you put in a market order. However, you could also select a limit buy, okay? And this is where you get a little bit more control over how much you pay, where you can actually decide how much you want to pay for that, okay? So while the currently pricing is $5,600, you might say, well, you know, I'm thinking the price is going to come down a little bit, so I'm going to put in a price of $5,000. I don't want to pay any more than $5,000. And then you can place that order, okay? And again, it'll check to make sure that you've got enough balance in order to place that order. Now, once you preview that order and you're okay with all the details and you place it, it'll then go into the order book under the buyers section. Okay. Okay, so that is the quick and dirty way of buying some Bitcoin. 2 options: pure market and a limit price, where you can actually set the price that you want to purchase Bitcoin at. Now, this is, of course,
sorry, mate, but if anyone out there is actually across how to buy and sell shares, and you haven't got a video in front of you, pretty much what Stacey's describing is the standard buy and sell market view.
Very similar indeed.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. They all do the same thing, that you've got the people who wish to buy them. You can buy them at the market price. So basically whatever a seller is offering it for, that's what you buy it at. Or you can set yourself a limit, be it higher or lower, and that is what you'd buy it at. If you put a lower limit, obviously you're betting the price is going to come down, and you never know, maybe one of those sellers will actually sell it to you at that, because they've been sitting there at $5,467, And then they suddenly see that you've got the 5,461 and they go, yeah, $6, I don't care, I just want to get rid of it. And they accept your order. It really is simple. It's very, very similar to shares.
And so once your order's been executed, what will happen is that you'll see it come up in your account. So right here, I'm looking at my account balances and the BTC will show up here in your available total, which then you can actually withdraw to another wallet. We'll get into that sort of stuff later down the track. So that's one quick, easy way of doing it. And of course, to be able to do this, and I did miss this step, unfortunately, is you've obviously got to sign up for an account. And that just is the usual process with most signups. You provide them an email address and your account details. They will ask for identification because they have to satisfy our government's regulations around know your client and anti-money laundering rules.
Ladies and gents, they're going to want your 100-point check. So you're going to need to have a passport, a driver's license, a Medicare card, things like that to get it. So you've got your Category A documents and your Category B documents. You'll need to provide them to them. They then put them through a security vetting, which in some cases is quite quick. Other cases, like there's one agency I know that takes 3 to 5 days to do it. So even though you've logged in and you've created an account, you can't start trading or deposit money into that account until they've verified your identity. It's no different than a bank account. We don't want people like Billy Bloggs down there or Tony Mockbell from Pentridge somehow getting onto a computer and go, oh, look, I can sell Bitcoin and I'm behind bars. You have to actually do it properly because this one is a serious thing. And trust me, the tax man is watching. So don't think you can use it to get out of your taxes because, ladies and gents, pay your taxes. If you pay more tax, I'll pay less, I promise.
Look, absolutely. And there is and we will do a session on tax because it is a very important one to consider. At the moment, the ATO treats it as property, effectively. So there is capital gains tax. But on the flip side to that, there's also losses that can be claimed as well.
So if you're one of the lucky ones who bought Bitcoin at $20,000 last year and you didn't sell it when it started to slide, and you're now sitting on it now and you need a tax break, sell it and get your tax break.
Absolutely. Right. For the international people, Coinbase is another one, very popular. It is expensive though. That's the only thing I will say. Very easy on-ramp to purchase cryptos, and for first timers, it's not a bad one to use. Very similar to what we've just gone through, but it is a little bit easier because you can actually use debit cards and things. I certainly don't recommend using a credit card, but you can, and you can purchase your cryptos through a company like Coinbase. But like I said, I find their fees to be quite expensive. So it's not one I used way back in the day when I first started getting into this, but I have not used them since, purely because of their fees. So, all right, I will stop sharing on that one. And
all right.
That's a very...
My eyes were down. I was actually just responding to a text message, trying to do one of those things like, what did you call it yesterday? Multitasking.
Multitasking, yeah.
Stacy can't do it, I can.
Sure.
No, I can't really. That's why I thought,
head down. Do you think that, was there any questions that came out of that, do you think, Mr. Deal?
There probably will be a few questions, especially around how to log in. So what I was thinking is that in our next one, why don't we log in, like I've got an account I'm happy to show people. I'll log it in and show how someone buys or sells some cryptocurrency there in a different one. Right? Sure. Or what actually, even better. Even better. I said we did 10 minutes ago, and let's show them how to transfer it from one wallet to another.
We can do that too.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you happy? I hope so, because this has been episode number 4 of, what are we? 2 Crazy Guys, One Crazy World. Also, it's called Crypto FUD. And amongst other things, we've also talked about doTERRA oils. Don't forget, doTERRA oils are wonderful. For them. Get into them. They're fantastic. They can't hurt you. They can only help you, and they will enhance the health of your family. Right? Your well-being is everything to us. Well, we don't know you, but we trust me. It is, because if you're not out there happy and listening, what are we doing? Talking to ourselves, and trust me on this one too. We do that enough.
Well, I was going to say we do that more than enough.
Yeah, the worst part is, you know how many arguments I lose? It sucks.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Right.
All right, mate.
Okay, we're done. Have a lovely afternoon, evening, morning, whatever you happen to be. Drive safely if you're listening to this on the way home. And don't forget, send us in your questions. We will get to them. We promise if you send us a question, it will make it. We won't be able to tell you who killed JFK, but I think Trumpy's probably surpassed him. He'll be able to tell you because he knows everything.
Apparently. You can send those questions to the email address of twocrazyguys@lifefreedom.solutions.
Solutions. See, no .com, no .com.au, just .solutions.
It's nice,
right.
Nice and simple.
Have a great one.
All
See
right,
ya.
Catch soon.
Bye. I'll give you a call. Bye.